Hello and welcome to part 2 of lesson 3, Advanced Topics. In this part we will be talking about sweeps, lofts, and shells. So in the previous part we talked about a bad design of a watering can. And in this part we will talk about how to redesign that bad design with some more advanced techniques. Then in part 3 we're going to be looking at how to use patterns and text to make our design look a little bit more fancy, although these have more practical applications, of course, as well. So, what we will cover. Of course, we will cover sweeps, lofts, and shells. We will also be covering rounding corners, and we'll also be looking at the bad design for measurements and such to recreate this as accurately as possible while also making it better. So, we can exit the PowerPoint. There we go. Here is our design, much nicer than we swap over. Here's the old one. The bad design. Shame on the maker of this one. It was me. I made it. But, anyway, it's bad. So, this is what we're going to start off. This is what we're going to make. So let's create a new file. And I just realized I did not turn my key thing on, so let me go do that. Okay, now it's on. Where was I? Okay, yes. So we have a new file. But where do we begin? Actually, I'm going to save it. That's always a good place to begin. So let's save it here as lesson 3. Good design 1. And now I'm going to use Control Tab to go over to the bad design. Ignore that it says auto recover. It doesn't matter. It crashed. No big deal. So right click here on the extrude and edit sketch. So we see that this flower pot, not flower pot, watering can was made 90 by 90, but it's actually 100 by 100 because each of these walls is 5 millimeters thick. So instead of making one 90 by 90 square and then extruding 5 millimeter thick walls, we're going to instead, I should also mention that they're 100 tall, so we're going to instead extrude top plane, get your center rectangle, right from the middle, hit escape to get out of that, and smart dimension smart dimension this edge to be 100, and let's smart dimension this edge to be 100 as well. So instead of maybe making this go up only 5, and then building up the walls around this, we're actually just going to make this go up 100. So now we have a solid cube, and this is a bad flower pot. I said it again, watering can. The bad watering can, because there's no room for water or flowers if you wanted flowers. So we are going to come to our first more advanced feature, which is the shell. And I click shell right there, and it is asking us for some parameters. It's asking us for faces and the thickness of the shell. So first I'm going to tell it faces, and I'm going to choose this face, and I'm going to say I want it to be thickness. Well, first I'll just show a preview so you can see it. So already you can sort of see what the shell is doing. It's going to hollow out whatever you have here, but I'm going to say that this is going to have a thickness of 5 millimeters, which is the wall thickness we had before, and auto updated. And yeah, in 2 features we did what we did over here in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think, whoop, did I hide it? I think I hit it, yeah. I think it was 5. Too many was the answer. It was very simple, and it's going to be much easier to change instead of having to change one dimension and everything getting screwed up. We have our shell right here, and just to go into a little bit more detail of what shell can do, you can select more than just one face. So although this instance we're only going to be doing one, if you select 2 faces, you can see how that would work. 3 faces, and so on. Although at some point it's going to be less practical to do a shell and more practical to just do extrude. So maybe if you want to do that, you could shell all the way through. but we're only going to do the top face. Okay, so now let's talk about sweeps. So in order to do a sweep, which is this one right here, it's going to require two things. First is a path for the sweep to sweep along. Actually, well, first it's going to need a profile. So like if you're doing your extrude boss base, it needs something like this. This would sort of be like your profile, and then it needs a path to extrude that along. So whereas extrude just goes up in one direction, sweep is like an extrude but along a path or a curve or a line. So let's first do our profile. So I click sketch, and I click right here on this face. I hit Control 8 to center. Then I want this to be aligned in the middle. I don't exactly remember how I did this. The other one. So let's set that to 20 down. This should be 15 wide and 15 tall. Actually, let's make this 20 wide. How about that? Okay. And 10. That seems more reasonable. And then we'll select this middle vertex and this origin and say that they are vertical. So now that is fully defined. Okay. Now, actually remember how I did it in the other one. And it's a little different. Not a big deal though. So we come to the profile or the path. So instead of doing on this face, I'm going to select the right plane, Control 8, and then we're going to use the spline tool just to make a rough handle shape. It really doesn't matter what your handle looks like, but I'm gonna do something like that. And if it decides that this may cause problems later, we will deal with that. So there we go. There's our profile or our path. I'm going to rename these using F2, or you can right click and go to feature properties. So this will be called path, and this one is actually I'll show you what I did here. Exit sketch. Let's drag that above there. If we can we not? We cannot do that. Okay, never mind. I forgot what I was doing. Edit. Feature prop. Oh my, not color. Feature properties. Profile. Yes. Okay. Now. Okay. So sweep. It's going to ask us for our profile, and then it is going to ask us for the path. And there we go. If you notice down here, it's getting a little strange. It's not exactly lining up, and you can fix that. You come down here to the arrow, it sort of absorbs the profile and the path. So if we edit the path, we can bring this back just a little. Okay, what's going on? Let's see. So you're constrained to that. We don't want that. We will drag you back. Okay. It does not like being dragged, and so I'm just going to make that parallel, and we're going to bring that in really. Oh my gosh. Splines sometimes can be kind of hard to work with, if you have noticed. Yeah. So I'm going to call that good enough. And it doesn't like that. Why does it not like that? Okay. Hold on, I'm going to pause this. Okay, so the trick here, I went back and looked at the other design, or at the original, because I forgot. Whoops. Is just to extend this just a little bit longer. So if we do Control 8 to center ourselves, click right there, and then you'll see the little angle thing. Just bring it out just a little bit. And hopefully Yeah, it looks a little weird, but it should get the job done. Not a big deal, I hope. Okay, so now, if you see these joints, especially like right here at the top, and then right there, aren't gonna be the strongest, so we can add a fillet. I don't know how big it's, yeah, it's not gonna, that's fine for this. Fillet you, and there, okay, that's a big one. Let's just try 7.5. So the fillet's gonna be a little bit bigger on an interior angle like that than an exterior one. I'm not gonna fillet that one, I'll just leave it. That's fine. And in that case, I'm gonna mess around with this for a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, okay. Then let's do the spout thing. Actually, should we call it here? Sure, let's call it here. So in the next part, we will finish up the flower pot. Dang it, again, watering can. Just trying to keep these short. So the next part, we'll finish up the watering can. We'll do the spout, and then that's about it.